Hello everyone, this is Gail. I apologize for the glare on the clay. I can put paper on my tile to take care of that glare, but I can't do much for the packages of clay until after I talk to you about them. I've decided that since Christmas is coming and I've kind of got Christmas on my mind right now, that maybe you guys would like to learn how to make something that you could do for Christmas. I am going to be using, this is my scrap clay. Remember I told you I keep my scrap in little bowls here on my table, and plus things I've just worked on are kind of still sitting right up here at the top of my tile. But I'm going to use my scrap green clay, but I'm going to mix some Primo Accents bright green pearl in it, and that's going to add a little bit of color to it, plus it'll also give it a little bit of sparkle. And I'm going to be using Frost White Glitter, which is also Primo Accents, and I couldn't find a real pretty yellow that was sparkly, so what I thought I would do is mix some of the Primo Sunshine with the yellow gold glitter, which is also Primo. Yeah, yellow gold glitter. So I can have a yellow that's kind of sparkly. We're going to make a Christmas pin or a pendant, whatever you decide to do. And I'm using different things here. I'm going to cut this in half because I do want to keep some dark clay, and then I will add the green pearl, bright green pearl, to the other half. Let me see, I will probably add one block and see how that looks before I add any more. I don't want this to be too, well, don't want this to be too light and sparkly, because we're going to be adding the other. But I cut it into pieces and then I run it through my pasta machine. Let me go ahead and get this conditioned and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I ended up not using the white, the Frost White Pearls or white glitter, so I'll put that aside. But this is my scrap green, which this is what it started out looking like. My scrap green mixed with the bright green pearl, and it's going to have a sheen to it. And this is the yellow, the Sunshine, mixed with the yellow gold pearl. They're not totally mixed because I'm going to be doing a Skinner blend. And I know I've shown you how to do this before, but let me just show you the beginning of it and then I'll do the rest off camera. The green is pretty much in a rectangle, so I can just cut that diagonally. And I'm cutting on cardstock so that there's not such a glare. But then you just pick it up and make a big triangle out of it. And you would do the same with this, even though it's not really a good rectangle shape. Let me treat it as such. Because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. So this green, let me put these aside. This green and this yellow, I'm going to offset. These are double thicknesses on the thickest setting on the pasta machine. And I'm going to offset it because I'd like a little bit of yellow to show up on this end and a little bit of the dark green to show up on this end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it through the pasta machine just like this. I'll do that part on camera. Alright, I ran it through one time, and I'm going to roll this up and press so that there's no air, and I'm going to run this through the pasta machine again until this gets blended. So I will do that part off camera, and I will be back when it's done. Okay, you can see I have a nice blend now, and the gold glitter glue has kind of found its way into the green also because of the way this was set up. So this is going to be very pretty. The original that I made, and let me show you the original I made, was this one. And it looks pretty, but it's kind of plain. So we'll get there in a minute. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold this into thirds this way. And I probably should have run this on a smaller setting, but we'll see what happens. I want to get it into my pasta machine. Let me just taper it a little bit so it won't be too much of a shock. But I'm going to run this through the pasta machine this way. Let me think. Yes, that's what I'm doing. Okay, I just lost track for a minute. I'm going to run it through this way, and I'll get a long, narrow section. I'll show you the right side instead of the... There is an ugly side, but it won't matter in making the cane. So I have this, and this is through the number 1 setting of the pasta machine, and I think I'm going to go down, I'll go to a number 3, and then maybe even a number 5. So let me do this on a 3. You can see how long this ended up being. And I think I will go to a number 5 only because I'm going to be rolling this up, and the thinner it is, the less distortion or the less of the lines that you see in your finished roll. So I'm going to put it through at a number 5. Okay, so as you can imagine, I have a really, really long one now. I am going to roll this from the dark side up. Let me lay this out so it doesn't get messed up. And for this end, I'm going to trim it straight. And I'll just add, well, that's not very straight, is it? But at least have a straight edge, and I'll just add this to my scrap. And then I'm going to just push a little bit with my finger and just slightly roll up a little bit on the end, and then press it down and make sure you don't get any air. I know you get tired of hearing me say that, but I just can't stress how important it is. And then you can just start to roll it up. I really need to use both hands. Let me see if I can get this so it won't stick to itself like this. Okay, let me try it this way. So just take both fingers, because this is a little bit wider than some of the other things that we've done. And just press the ends in as you go. I'm getting clay stuck on here that's on my table. Sorry about that. I'm just watching what I'm doing with this because I don't want to lose the yellow. So anyway, now I think I can roll it with one hand and hold it. I really wish I had a bigger work surface that I could work on. It would be so wonderful, but it's just not going to happen, at least while I'm in this house. Because it's just not, there's not enough room to set up a table. The desk that I'm working on now is a built-in, and it's not very wide, so when you put your tools and anything else on there, it really cuts down on your work surface. Now I'm not going to trim any off of this because it's so big. I'm going to have to do a lot of reducing. So as I reduce, it'll take care of this seam here. But this is going to take a while to reduce. So let me just get the ends pushed in. I like to press the ends together. I am going to lose some because this wasn't an even blend to begin with. I'll just stick that in there with my scrap. But press your end in. On both sides. And you can see where it buckles out. That's where air will get trapped. So be real careful not to let that close in on itself. And then I press the middle. Really, this would be a good time for me to use my little plastic ends. I really need to buy the ones from Pandora, Tiny Pandora, because they're so much sturdier and so nice. But I haven't gotten there yet. Let me just press this. This is from my Pringles cap. I cut one at 3/4 of an inch and one at 1 inch. This probably needs to be a little bit straighter to stick to this. But if you can get the clay stuck to these caps, it will keep it from distorting on the end so much. But anyway, so now I've got this weird shape. It was like a dumbbell, and now I'm just going to squeeze to the end. And then squeeze to the other end. And then I roll it to kind of even it out. And this is going to take me a while, so I'm going to go again off camera and reduce this down for a little bit. Okay, I have way too much clay. I have cut this in half twice. It got to be like this, and I cut it in half. And then I started reducing, and I had to cut it in half again. And I still need to make this just a little bit smaller. You don't want it any bigger than 1/4 of an inch. I mean, you could, but for the design itself is going to be so small that if it's much smaller than, I mean, much bigger than 1/4 of an inch, you kind of lose your design. So let me just start slicing. Let me get me a ruler. Here's my ruler. And I'll start cutting this, oh, how about 4 inches? And see, this is what it looks like on the inside. It's green and it fades into the yellow, and it's all sparkly because it's got the glitter. I keep wanting to say glitter glue, but it's got the glitter clay in it. So let me roll out another one so that I'm going to have to do this in phases. This is not my original idea as far as the finished pendant. I don't know how many of you have heard of Dr. Ron Lehocky. He makes some awesome polymer clay hearts and sells them, and it goes to medical research for children. So this is something that he had put out. I'm not sure where. I think it's a Vimeo video where he's just talking about what he does and he's doing it while he's working. So I'll put the link down if you're interested in watching that. But a lot of artists will donate their canes. Like if I had all this left over, I could send it to him and he would take it and make it into hearts and sell it for the children. Of course, he doesn't know who I am, but he's had some pretty big name artists send him their cane in. Some of them send, complete canes. And it's an amazing process that he does. So and I may be able to get I probably won't reduce the rest of this. Let me pull it a little bit. That's got some fat places in it. We'll just start with this, and I'll trim it off even though I don't have to, but I will. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of my scrap that I've now added to. And I wanted to show you, this is the Pringles end, the large end, and this is the size of the end of the cane when I first started with it. And when I finished, I sliced it off, and this is all the clay that you lose, as opposed to having to cut off inches and inches of clay. So these things are awesome. So let me mix this together, and I will be back so you don't have to listen to my pasta machine. Okay, now this is the green scrap, and now it's got glitter in it, so that's going to look real pretty. But anyway, this is going to actually be the beginning of a sheet. And what we're going to do, of course, we should let these canes rest a little bit so they don't squish. Let me get a new blade. Do I have one here? Just one moment while I get a new blade. I keep all my blades in this little tub here, and I have a piece of magnet in there, but the magnet keeps falling off, so I end up having to pull them out. But let me find a nice new sharp blade. Now this is a tissue blade, a medical tissue blade, so it's going to be really sharp. So let's just hope I'm not going to cut myself. I usually use such dull blades, it doesn't really matter if I use the wrong end. But since this clay is so soft, alright, did I tell you the scrap clay is rolled out to the thickest setting on the pasta machine? But what he does is he takes thin little slices and sticks them on his clay. tell you what, let me alternate that a little bit. I should be using my Lucy slicer. And I'm going to alternate these. Can you see this? So I'm going to alternate these a little bit so there's not one directly on top of the other. It just depends on what your cane is. I think the demo that he's doing while he's talking on his Vimeo video is showing a square cane. So the square cane doesn't really matter. And this isn't going to match up all the way, but that's okay because this is going to, we're going to create a sheet. And it needs to be random. There we go. And just keep slicing and adding until you've got enough space to cut out a heart. And I know we're going to turn this heart into a Christmas tree. And again, it's not my original idea. This is something that Dr. Ron did. Just make sure you get it on your clay where you want it before you press it down. And just keep building. Now you can see this is getting flat on one side, but I'm going to use that flat in the design. And I may have to, here's one I cut off. I'm going to pull this out and put it in this blank space. Sorry, I got quiet. It's one of those creative moments. I'm thinking. But I don't know if you want to continue watching this or not. So let me pause this until I've created enough to actually do the hearts. Okay, so I've got these on there. Wouldn't that make a nice mermaid tail? I was looking at this and that would just be an awesome mermaid tail. Let me come up just a little bit. Now you need to roll these into the clay. That's why you need to slice them as thin as you can, because as you roll, it's going to make these little things, little circles, bigger and fatter. But just roll them in all directions, and you can feel to see when it's rolled in. It's almost there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my craft knife, and I've got a Sculpey template here. This was dated 2001, so I don't even know if they're still here, but this is the heart that I'm going to use, and I'm going to place it where it looks the best. I think I'll put it right there. And I'm going to cut this out following the template. Now I've got enough to do a couple more, but I'm only going to do one right now. There. Now, let me put this aside. What we need now is something to back it with. And I didn't cut this the way Dr. Lehocky said to do. He says to slant your knife and cut underneath without cutting the heart design itself. Cut underneath so it's kind of beveled under. And I'll show you why we do this in a minute. It would have been easier if I'd done this while it was still on the slab, but that's alright. I can manage. And we get to reshape it in a minute anyway. So just go all the way around, slicing under. All the way around. Sorry about this. I don't know what is on TV in the other room. It's one of those court shows. Okay, now we're going to need a backing. And let's see. This is going to be a Christmas tree, so what would I back it with? Let me back it on some... Well, let me just do the gold glitter. No, because that wasn't very creamy. Let me go back to the green pearl. And since I'm just doing the one heart right now, I'm not going to do a whole lot. Maybe 3 slices. Let me get this conditioned and I'll be right back. Okay, I ended up adding a little bit of the gold, oh, I messed up my heart, a little bit of the gold, yellow gold glitter, because the bright green pearl was a little bit crumbly, and the yellow gold glitter, I don't know why I have a hard time with that name, the yellow gold glitter has some translucent in it. So, and translucent's always, well, not always, but usually it's a lot softer. And I'm going to use this patty paper. I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to press these edges down. Remember the edges that we beveled? And what that's going to do is give a curve to the heart, because we've put all that space underneath, and it'll also get it adhered to the green pearl well. Just go all the way around your edges, make sure everything is attached. And you might want to feel to see if you have any rough places, because this will help smooth those out. So what we're going to do now is, again, go back to your craft knife. And I don't know that this will work. No, it's spread out a little bit too much. But take your craft knife and cut. This time you can go straight down. around where your heart is. And try not to add any more of the background, but just try to cut straight down. Now I know this is upside down for you, but to me this looks like a heart. But to you, this should look like a Christmas tree. There we go. And just check your edges, make sure everything's the way you want it. Well, I'm going to use this. I don't want to mess my heart up after I did all this work. But see, let me show you from my side. This is a heart, but if you turn it upside down, it could be a Christmas tree. So then what we need to do is put a trunk on it. Let me get a smoother out. Let me see, which one will I use. I think I'll use this little one. And just smooth these edges a little bit where it goes onto the clay. If there's any little places where you can see. The separation, like for some reason right here, there's just looks like a little bit of separation. I must not have burnished there very well. But most every place else is okay. Alright, now I'm going to turn it upside down for me. I think this just needs more trimming. I think that's what it is. I was not directly over it when I trimmed, and I think the green is sticking out a little bit, so that's why it looked the way it did. Yeah, I just needed to be over it a little bit more. Okay. That looks better. Now you can do a lot of different things for the trunk. I have some brown here. This is it raw sienna? Yes, this is raw sienna that I've had on my table. You could use this, but I've also got this here, which is scrap from one of the extruded canes that we did. And you know, with all these different colors in it, it makes it look a little bit like wood. So let me slice into it and see what I can find. I think if I cut right here, it has a little bit of color to it. But it's rounded on the outside because it's been sitting here in a ball. It's flat at the top because I just sliced it that way. So I'm just going to cut a little piece. And I'm going to trim that down where I'm just making it's not even 1/4 of an inch long. It's just a little piece of brown and mixed colors. But I'm going to put that here and just press it in so that it sticks to the raw clay. And that's going to become my trunk. So how does that look? Now at this point I'm going to put this on a card. so I can move it around. And I'm going to get some Hot Fix crystals and put those on. And let's see what color, what sizes do I have in red. And where's my other little thing? Here it is. Let me dump these. I've got some small ones. Now that my green scrap bowl is empty, I'm going to dump some in there. And I'm going to use these. This red and the little tiny reds and see what comes up. Now let me see. Let me get my sticky tool. I've not used this yet. This is something that I got from my card making. And it's got a little sticky thing on the end. And I'm told it will pick up rhinestones. So let's see. Oh, it does. So just put these on here randomly. And press them in. And when this bakes, the glue on the back will fasten it to your clay. Let's see, where do I need? I want to leave room for some of the smaller ones. But I told you, I like bling. I'm going to leave these here. And see if I can find some little red ones in here. It's hard to tell the difference between the red and the orange. I think that's red. See, I need to cover up that spot there. Yep, that's red. Just press them in. You can use as few or as many as you like. You can even use different colors. You don't have to use red. I'm just choosing red because I'm just old-fashioned. I like red and green for Christmas. This red isn't as bright or as deep a red as the larger ones are. So they're a little bit different shade, but that's okay. Long as I like it, right? That looks like a deep red one. You buy these little ones, you get a mixture. You don't always get to choose what colors you get. I saw a deep red right there. I just can't seem to get there. Well, where'd it go? Lost it. Sorry if this is boring. I won't get too many more. Well, I missed that one. I know there's some reds in there because I saw them. There we go. See, I'll put one there. This is really good where if you have a place where your clay doesn't look real pretty, or maybe the joints don't look real good, you can just stick a little crystal on it. I hesitate to put one there, but I'd really like to cover up that green. And some of this stuff got stuck up in the end, so I'll get that out. Hate to lose it. There might be a way to reload it, huh? No, maybe not. Okay, well, I've done that. Now the only thing left to do is to bake. Just do any fine tuning that you want to do. Just make sure everything looks the way you want it on the front and the back. Little piece of white got on the back there. Don't know where that came from because I wasn't working with any white. I'm going to use a clay shaper to smooth that over. Okay. Anyway, so that's going to be my tree. And because it's a tree, it will hang from... Oh, I need to put the star on it. I need a star. Let me find my little star. I knew I was missing something. I have all kinds of Kemper cutters, and there should be a star. I'm not sure what size star. This is not going to be my star. I just want to check the size and see what that looks like on the top of the tree. Is that big enough, do you think? I could go one size bigger, which I think is this one. I could do that. I think I'm going to go with the smaller one. I kind of like the way that little one looked. So, what color should we do the star? The gold glitter? I've used it for everything else, so why not? So let me just condition just a small little piece. Probably ought to do it double. Because that's where the tree will hang from. fold this double. Of course, it's a number 3 setting too, so maybe I ought to do this on a number 1. And then do it double. That'll give us a thicker star. And just slice a good thick, this is going to be a nice thick slice. Poke it out, and because this poked it out, you're going to have a distortion on the back, so we want that to go on the back. And just fit it here on the top. Just make sure it's stuck. And that it looks the way you want it to look. And I'm thinking it probably would be better to wait until this is baked before I put the hole in it. I'm not really sure whether I want it on the star or through the top of the tree. But if you were going to make this into a pin, you could just add your pin back here, and that would be the end of it. But looks like I probably need a few more little gems, don't I? Looks like a lot here and not much over here. And I still have my, no, I put my pokey tool back. So what I'm going to do is use a piece of clay. So you can use clay for a lot of things. At least put one up there. Does that look better? I think that's probably all I need. But anyway, I'm going to bake this in the oven and drill a hole and put it on a chain, and I will attach a picture at the end of this video, or I may even come back and show you on video. It just depends on how long this takes. But I hope you enjoyed this little tree. And they would make wonderful gifts. And like I said, if you've got any of the hot fix crystals at home, you can put all different colors. You know, my Christmas tree isn't just one color. I just chose to use red, but I could have used blue and yellow and any other color, clear. So let me see what you come up with. And I'll be back. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.